Hello everyone! So with two pre-releases coming up this weekend, both Tales of Aria for Flesh and Blood and Innistrad Midnight Hunt for Magic the Gathering, I want to go over my pre-release survival kit. What I take when I'm going out. Now, in fairness, I'm going to two back-to-back, so I'm going to need an overnight kit, but that aside, there's some other useful things that everyone should probably have with them for going to a pre-release. The first, and most obvious, is sleeves. You're going to need to be able to sleeve up your sealed deck. You've just gotten a bunch of shiny new cards and you're going to want to protect them. I mean, protecting our cardboard rectangles is the main objective of half the accessories we have. So you're going to need outer sleeves for the actual deck you intend to play with, both to hide any double-sided cards or to make clear which side of a token you're using for both games. You might also want to take inner sleeves. Personally, I use the Dragon Shield sealable sleeves, and I seal any rare card or any foil card in one of these. For the foil cards, it's mainly to protect against moisture and the curling that naturally occurs to foils. So the sooner you get them in a sealed environment, the less curling there is with them, and that's really handy. I also generally seal anything unusual, so alternate art frames or full showcases. Basically anything I think might be worth anything slightly more than just a common or a basic rare. And for your absolute big bucks, it could also be worth taking one or two of the top loaders, just in case you pull one of those chase rares. It's unlikely, but it's good to be prepared when that's happening. In addition, it's always handy to have some dice or other tokens with you. Maybe a life counter if you're playing Magic the Gathering, or heck, you can use it for Flesh and Blood as well. It's just something to keep track of your life total. These can be really handy as sometimes card effects require other things, or if you're generating a token or a resource, like rune chants for Flesh and Blood, or 1/1 humans for Magic the Gathering, you're going to want to be able to keep track of that. And you may not get all the cards you need, your sealed packs, to do so. Another useful thing would be an empty deck box, just to store your deck in at the end of it. You've gone through all the trouble of sleeving it up, you may as well protect it as well while you're transporting it home. There's nothing worse than loose cards in a bag and getting jostled around, damaging the corners and all of that. Outside of protecting the cards themselves, you're also going to want a playmat. You're going to be playing in an open environment. You don't know how clean the tables are going to be. There could be sticky surfaces, there could be all sorts of gunk on them, and you just want to preemptively protect your cards from that. It's also useful if liquid does get spilled on the table. This is slightly elevated, it might prevent it, it might soak up some of the liquid, preventing damage, and it's better that your £10 playmat gets a bit damaged rather than your £500 deck. So it's better to play on the safe side with respect to that. Another thing that can be useful is to take some spare decks. For whichever game you're playing, you may have downtime in between a round, you may end the game in 5 minutes, or maybe you get a buy and someone's sitting around just waiting. In that case, it can be useful to have one of your standard decks or constructed format, or even a blitz deck, just to have a quick and easy match in between the rounds. You're there to play, everyone else is there to play, why not get some additional games in? In terms of our more trade savvy people, you may want to have your trade binders with you. Although I might not recommend this much. It can be worth bringing with you a small trade binder with some of the cards you might want to swap at a later point, or even some of the cards you may open on the day. Everyone will have just gotten their own packs, they'll have new and exciting cards, they'll be eager to trade for the ones they want. If they've pre-read, they know what they want, you might know what you want, and maybe you can make a deal, get some value out of it. Now you're going to be playing for several hours, and in several hours you're probably going to get thirsty. So usually I would keep a bottle of water inside of my bag as well, just so I can take sips from it. I wouldn't recommend using a fizzy drink because fizzy drinks leave sticky residue, and again, we want to protect our cardboard rectangles, and we definitely don't want to get sticky, sugary residue all over them. This applies also to your food choices. If you're going to snack while doing it, try to avoid anything that's sticky or crumbly, something that's safe and easy to eat, and definitely don't eat in front of the cards or on top of the cards. It's just not a great experience for everyone. Another oft forgotten but useful thing to have with you is a stick of deodorant, just in case. You're going to be packed in tightly with other nerdy people and it can get quite warm and sweaty there, and even if you've worn deodorant this morning, a little top up can never hurt. You don't want to be that guy that's smelling. In a similar vein, if you're going to back-to-back ones, or it's going to be a really long match and you've gone to 3 consecutively, you've done a morning session, an evening session and a midnight session, toothpaste and a toothbrush can't do any harm to brush your teeth at some point during the day. Just in case there's any build-up, it's just to be polite to the other people. So if you've managed to cram all of that into your bag, you're pretty much good to go. Once you get there, maybe there's a few etiquette things just to know. The first and most important one being, don't just touch other people's stuff. Even if you're in the middle of a match, it's generally very impolite to just grab someone's card to try and read it. Always ask the other person, can I see the card? If they say no, ask them to read the card out. They will generally comply. I mean, they have to. There are rules around not concealing that sort of information from your opponent. It's open information, they're allowed to know that. Second one would be to be polite to everyone. Games can get heated, people want to win, if there's prizes on the line, people can feel very invested. But at the end of the day, this is still a game and everyone is there to have a good time. Be polite to your opponents, introduce yourself. Once the game's over, congratulate them if they win, and be a good winner if you win. Don't be rubbing it into people's faces, don't be one of those people who tries to flip a table. Just generally be polite. A third one is be on time, both for arriving so that people can get started and for each of your matches. There's nothing worse than sitting down and across the table from you it's empty because your opponents decided they're going to go for a kebab and now they're 15 minutes into the game and you're just sitting there doing nothing when you're there to play. Be considerate of your own time and be considerate of your opponent's time. A general reminder would be to keep an eye on all your stuff at all times. While generally most of the people there are just there for a good time, there are certain sticky-fingered people, there are people who are just out to try and get gain for themselves, and if they see an opportunity, they may try and grab your cards or your binder or anything. So keep it in your line of sight. If someone's looking through your binder, keep it in your field of vision. If you're playing a game and some of your cards need to go into your opponent's deck for whatever reason, or they're just scattered across the table, try and keep track, count the number of cards in your deck after each match just to make sure they're all there. The sooner you're aware something is wrong, the more chance you have of stopping the person getting away with it. A last point would be to keep your area clean. It's very easy to get very spread out. You've got deck boxes lying around, you've got stacks of cards, your dice, your tokens, your bag, your food. But please be aware, there are other people around, everyone's trying to crowd in, and everyone has limited space. So to be considerate to the other people around you, try and keep your stuff contained. If you're not using it, put it back in. If you've got your deck box, put your deck back in when it's not in use, or if there are other scattered cards lying around, try to keep it to a controlled environment. I hope this has been useful to everyone, and let me know if you get any good polls from this weekend, or if you've had any exciting moments. What has your pre-release experiences been? Are there any other tips or tricks that you'd tell people just coming to their first pre-release experience? I hope everyone has a good time, and thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the content.